We want to inspire these little kids that you see all around. We want them to be the next wildlife biologist or the next educator who cares about wildlife. And that's, I think, what we want people to walk away with, is having a healthy respect and excitement about wildlife.
And we thought, how can we get our messages about local conservation, about the environment, about ecology, through to all the school kids that visit Lincoln Park Zoo? And we thought, well, you know what? We could create a classroom right here adjacent to the zoo.
There's numerous studies that kids are just being disconnected from nature. And we think the zoo is a really great place where people can get that connection. They can see animals up close, and we want them to learn something while they're here.
Where we are today at Nature's Boardwalk here at Lincoln Park, and the Urban Wildlife Institute that really runs the Nature Boardwalk, is really a great example of what Lincoln Park's, I think, been able to do the last couple of years. We've grown our Conservation and Science Department here from literally 2 people in the late 80s to over 40 people. And you know, they're out there in the community, not just saving animals in Africa or South America or Asia, but you know, we feel conservation right within the city of Chicago is hugely important as well. The wonderful thing about this site is you've got this 14 acres for wildlife and people right next to a couple of ball fields, big open areas for soccer playing. So we haven't totally taken that away. We've just added to the wonderful experience that these people have.
There's a lot of challenges and a lot of opportunities. I mean, Chicago, as the 3rd largest city in the US, represents probably about the best laboratory we could find. We're talking about an area that has huge population density, massive amounts of traffic, but also surprisingly high levels of biodiversity. More humans in cities, more wildlife in those cities, you're bound to increase the level of conflict between humans and wildlife in cities. And there are a lot of examples of that, like animals getting hit by cars, diseases that are transmitted between people and animals attacking pets. And right now, we don't really have the basic science we need to understand why is it that these animals will go after a pet? What is it about this landscape that they perceive as habitat? What is it that makes them come into these conflicts? And that's part of what we're trying to do.
So why is the black-crowned night heron endangered in Illinois?
Well, I think like a lot of species, there's been a lot of habitat loss. And these birds often like to be in areas around water. They fish. So a lot of those wetlands type habitats have been decreasing.
Right.
And this is a very general problem with human development as it increases all over the world. I think the work that we're doing is increasingly important as urbanization increases and there is less wild space, but there are increased opportunities such as the Nature Boardwalk for animals to coexist peacefully with the people. And I think if those conflicts between wildlife and humans can be avoided, actually people can really benefit from interacting with wildlife.
We're releasing smooth green snakes into restored tallgrass prairie and oak savanna habitat. And we're using 2 different methods, soft release enclosures and hard release. So this is one of our soft release enclosures that we built last summer. And we just basically quartered off a section of habitat where we were finding adult smooth green snakes and decided that if wild populations were using this site, it would be a good quality habitat. Soft release enclosures allow the snakes an opportunity to acclimate to the environment, and it also limits the amount that they'll wander after they're fully released into the environment. Hard released animals just get put back directly into the habitat, and so they might wander around quite a bit more. If they wander, then you will have more trouble reestablishing a population in a reintroduction site.
What makes us special and a good partner is that we know how to do animal care. And we have a great animal care staff. So part of this program with the smooth green snakes and with other programs like them is that we can bring the animals to the zoo, care for them, get them to lay eggs, give birth to babies. We end up taking care of them, growing them up so that they're at a size that we can put them back in the wild and they'll be better able to survive. And so it's like coming to a spa and staying for a little while before you go back out into the rough world.
I think that one thing that makes Lincoln Park Zoo unique is that we are so urban, we're so accessible, we're this great green oasis right in the heart of one of the most major cities in the States. We have a small footprint, but I think our presence is very large. We do a lot of work outside of the zoo. We're very committed to our mission of education and conservation. We have a third of our staff are scientists within our conservation and science branch. So a lot of the stuff the zoo's doing is behind the scenes. It's in the wilds of Congo and Tanzania and Serengeti and out here in Chicago.
Illinois is known as the Prairie State, but we actually have less than 1% of our native pre-settlement prairie acreage remaining today. Most of the prairie has been destroyed for agriculture and for urbanization, and so habitat restoration is necessary in order to preserve all of the species that depend on grassland environments.
So we have a great opportunity not just to do the work on urban wildlife, but also to share that through our education programs to the 7+ million people in Chicago and all the people that visit Lincoln Park Zoo from all over the country.